Yes.
Hey, Laura, can you hear us? Laura, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, anytime we have the full board, it's a board that's kind of good. In the past, we used to do a retreat. Either you just end up on the words. That's fine. Yeah, it has to be done already. If you can have a form, that's. I'll be reaching out to you guys about that I already have. I know you texted me earlier. Scooch everybody up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ms. Weinstein.
Here.
Mrs. Pease. Mr. Kelleher. Here. Mrs. Mayor.
Chair, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'd like to swear in our new board member, Mr. Timothy Voss. You want to know something for the Bible? Yeah. Just hold it. Put your name on there. Hold the right hand up. No, opposite side. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
the Constitution of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
to the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and this state
and the state,
under the authority of the people,
with the authority of the people.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I thank you, Father,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that this qualification
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office
for the office
of a member of a board of education.
for a member of the education,
I am not disqualified as a voter
and not disqualified as a voter
pursuant to law,
pursuant to law,
and I'm not disqualified
and I'm not disqualified
from membership
from membership
due to conviction of a crime
due to conviction of a crime
or offense listed in law.
or offense listed in law.
And I will faithfully,
Faithfully,
impartially,
correctly,
and
and
justly
justly
perform all the duties of that office
perform all the duties of the office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God. Congratulations.
You had her back, second time here too. Is that obviously the applicant wrote you, he's, Yeah, and we have that center. I think it's in the eight, that area. We have one date that.
And then we'll have.
I'll take a look at the different. I'll put the log on right now. See if I can- I know they're doing the government.
Yeah.
They do usually one per day, so it's like, if it's pretty, government one every 2 days.
Where I think it's business day, or someday it's still the convention, and that was making sure. It was if I was
While we're talking.
Get started on the rest of our meeting.
And please feel free to get up and down, to grab more food.
You guys did.
There's plenty of food, if anyone wants to grab pizza. I saw pizza, I don't know what else.
Everything is fine.
Any vodka, some kind of grilled chicken thing, any pasta, cookies, and whatever.
Laura, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. All right, so tonight, we're going to be presenting out some goals. We're going to be talking about the different, school goals. Then we're going to talk about our district goals, and then we're going to end our meeting with Board of Education developing your goals as we did last year. A little bit different than how we handled it last year for some of you that were here. We talked a lot about strengths and opportunities and areas for growth within each of our schools. This year, what we really did was we were all about building a congruent vision for the school district. And so that started with our professional development plans, which I'm going to talk about, and then it segued into school goals. But an overview for
Click it, click it. Right. There we go.
So just an overview of what to expect. We're gonna go over the purpose and overview, which I already started doing that. I'm gonna talk about district goals, all the schools are come up to school goals, board goals, and then we'll have an opportunity for any questions, feedback. I don't think it's working again. That's right, do you want to just do the clicker? Yeah. All right, can you just minimize that box so that I can? Thank you, but. I got it. I can't really see it, I'm gonna read this whole thing. So the research is abundantly clear, nothing motivates a child more than learning and valuing by school families, community work together in partnership. And we demonstrated that with our strategic plan. We involved all different stakeholders when we were developing those plans. And the administrative team and I really took a hard look at what we were going to incorporate into that strategic plan and how it was going to align to our vision and be the roadmap over the next couple of years. So you're going to hear a lot of the same patterns over and over again about what's happening in our schools and our district, and that's intentional. I don't think that it's redundant because everyone's looking for the way out. This is a collective vision of how we want to navigate through the next couple of years. So with District Professional Learning Community, we started a district level committee that established and created a survey to staff. They set PD goals for the district, which I linked here, and I shared this presentation with you, so that way if you want to go through, you'll be able to click on the district PD plan. So then we had a school level committee, which is also known as SKIP committee, that's our school improvement plan. And they created, they focused on school-based professional development learning goals, and then they created their PDP at the school level. We have our PLCs, which are our professional learning communities that we have across all the schools in the district. And that's really an opportunity for teachers and staff members to dive into the data, look at student achievement, look at discipline data, all those things, and how we can make instructional moves and really make effective moves in order to, whether it's culture, we're looking to improve the culture across the school or district. And then we all align your goals, and that's what you're going to hear tonight. So we wanted to build consensus. We wanted to orient our goals. We wanted to support one another. So we started with the goals that we have at the school level and district level, and then you're going to create your goals that will help us. The elementary schools. And right here,
Good evening, everyone. So I am representing all 3 elementary schools, but we will all collectively share information. We thank you for this space. Thank you, Mr. Baronato, for this space to speak on behalf of all 3 of us. And I'd like to greet all the board members, goals. So as Mr. Baronato shared, this is a collective effort to discuss what findings were from the meetings that were held, as everyone knows, throughout the community to discuss what our collective goals might have been moving forward this year. So one of the things that came through loud and clear was to come with better communication, stronger communication, and communication that was concise and accurate. And to that end, we discussed how to better serve the community with our communication. So what we've come up with is communication that will get to the community effectively, efficiently, quickly, and accurately. So what we decided to do this year, and you'll hear this, as Mr. Baronato said, this is a common thread for the elementary schools and middle school, as well as the high school and regional day, is to get information out, get it out early, get it out quickly, get it out accurately, so that we can make sure that our community stays involved, make sure that our community knows what's going on. And we have a lot of great things, and I hear the members say that all the time. We want to make sure that they know what's going on in our community, in our schools, that our community is informed. And then, of course, in the event that we have any emergencies or anything that our parents need to know about, they always are very well informed of those. So one of the things that we talked about is having a district events calendar that will be planned 3 months in advance. It helps to make sure that we don't overlap. As everyone knows, many of you have children that are at all 3 schools. They might be elementary children, middle school children, and high school children. We want to make sure that we do not overlap events so that all of your children, you can go to different events at all of the schools that your children attend. We also want to increase the frequency of internal communication and have weekly updates and make sure that just information events, so they go out, any incidents that happen, it goes out clearly. Those messages are relayed to the public and they're relayed accurately. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, this training was delivered to us last week by Mr. Rauscher and Mr. Roberts. We were introduced to ThrillShare, and it's an online platform that was given to us through a website, and it also allows us as administrators to access communication that is given to the public through a variety of means. We can craft communications, and you've already seen it. It was wonderful for us. I think everyone can speak to it, but I know these other principals can probably speak to it. We were able to get on, give our letters out to our parents, allow them to see where they can access all the information they need for Genesis, for the parent portal. We can update information. It's in real time, which is wonderful. It's a live feed. We can also put our platforms there for social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We can post our events, post any important alerts that are out there that we need to. So that can be any emergencies that are going on, snow closings, anything happening in our schools that's relevant and important. We can get out to the public in real time. We can get out, like I said, accurately, efficiently, quickly, when we need it to get out. We can have these things on our phones. We can have them, of course, in our offices, on our computer. And it's it's been user friendly thus far. So we're all acquainting ourselves with this online platform, and it's very easy to use. We use it on mobile app, etc. And we've also encouraged everyone, and I did this myself with, and thank you to Mr. Keller, who was at my orientation. I did this with my parents. I asked them to use a QR code to scan to join the mobile app to get on for MT schools, to be able to make sure that they can access information quickly. So that is something new that we are really encouraging and pushing our parents to do, so that they can easily have that readily at their fingertips, because I think we all know that unfortunately we live in an era where we don't want to lose those phones, because everybody's information is on their phones. But we know that people have their phones at their fingertips. So we've been encouraging our parents to put that mobile app on their phones to make sure that they can get that information easily, and they can have it at their fingertips at any given time. So that is part of our communication this year for all of the elementary schools. And as I said, that's going to be a common theme that you can hear from all the schools. So I'm going to talk about that too.
Moving on to our second goal, which deals with student achievement, specifically with our small group practices. So the goal reads to refine our district benchmark assessments to develop and deliver intentional small group instruction in both reading and in math. And how we plan to do that, we're going to intentionally use PLC time, PD faculty meeting time, and also the professional development sessions that we have developed throughout the school year to focus on and help teachers or all staff with using effective data analysis techniques, using data to develop individualized instructional groups, and then also implementing different small group structures in both of those subject areas.
I have a question. Do you have any
parents that do not want to use social media, do not want to download? If so, how are you communicating with them? In the mic, I can't hear. So,
Forms of communication for us is really email. So even if they're not on the app, most people have email at this point. And then, in order to get them to check it, because still not everybody is, we can easily put out a text message, and the text message will just say, we put out an important reminder, please check your email, and then they know to go to their email again. And at any time, our secretaries are available, by phone.
thank you.
About the intentional small group instruction, reading and math, is that for all learners, or are you just targeting special ed, BSI, and everybody?
That's for all learners to have differentiated instruction in both guided reading, as well as skills groups, and even within math.
Excellent, thank you so much. Next up, we have Mrs. McCallum for Regional Day School.
I'm one person, two goals. I'm never good with the, Chris, you can help me out. Coincide with the elementary schools, our first goal, again, is to also enhance our communication, and it's very important because of our population. Our parent involvement is very key. And we have parents traveling very far distances for events, so it's important to get that information as quickly, efficiently, and accurate as well. So we're excited for the Thrill Share. I received the training as well. We've already used it once. To get some information out. We do other means of communication, newsletters, email, social media. We have a very active social media account. But we'd like to provide more advanced notice for families so they can come to many of the events. And also very important to our population is we need to translate in Spanish. We've had a very large influx as well as Spanish-speaking families, and we need to communicate with them as well so they have more correct information. Our second goal for the coming school year is to continue to promote and incorporate social and emotional learning strategies and behavior management to support students' social, emotional, and behavioral needs. If our students aren't prepared to learn, if they're not behaviorally ready, fed, feel comfortable, have connections with teachers and their colleagues, their students, they're not ready to start their day. So we're providing staff with a variety of training and behavior management techniques, de-escalation techniques. We're starting to do restorative practices and continue to differentiate and really personalize learning for support. It's not, they're in this class, that's what we do. We're very student focused on their needs. So that's what we're going to continue to do for the upcoming school year.
Thank you. Next up, Mrs. Driver, Dr. Ott, McLaughlin in the middle school.
Well, good evening, and thank you for listening to our goals tonight. So again, as with the elementary school and the regional day school, communication is really key. And at the middle level, parents often feel like they kind of lose that communication because there's so much that goes on in the elementary school. And we have bigger populations. So this is our goal, to make sure that we're very transparent and that we share as much information in a timely manner as we can. So we are going to also be utilizing the Thrill Share to access notification, post information about upcoming events at least 1 month notice, send reminder of pending events, and continue to plan parent events following the steps of our Meet the Admin Night. We had a very successful Meet the Admin Night. And Mr. Bernard for being there. We had a lot of good conversation. We made it very comfortable to parents. We sat, we didn't stand up there and kind of preach to them. We just had more like conversation going, and they were very happy. And when parents came back at our 6th grade orientation, many people had a lot of good things to say. So we're hoping really, really to improve this throughout the year. I'm going to have Mrs. McLaughlin is going to talk about her, our academic goal.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we're going to be using data this year to improve student achievement and the methods that we're going to use in order to do that. One of the things that we'll be doing is we'll be re-engaging our assessment committee for the middle school, which will take all the benchmark information and do a deep dive analysis of it. They will disseminate that information to our department meetings the teachers there so that they can really break out the information for individual students to create individual lesson plans and small group activity also. And to also create instructional cycles for students to target large bits of information that groups of kids seem to be having difficulty with. And they'll do small formative assessments to track and determine how those kids are growing in those standards. We will also be using faculty meetings to do large group discussion with how teachers are progressing in these different standards and how the entire content areas can support the LA and math standards. We will also be doing walkthroughs to really collect data on how teachers are engaging students and looking at the activities that the teachers are using in the classroom, determine whether or not that the objectives that the teachers have really are being measured by those activities that they're implementing within the classroom. So that's our plan for that. We also are looking at SEL, and that's another important component of how kids achieve if they're not comfortable. And Dr. Ross going to talk about that with the houses.
So, thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Yeah, so we're very excited. Some of you have heard me speak about, I'll just be very brief about the introduction of our house system to kind of improve that social emotional connection amongst the kids. We did a lot of work on that today, just sorting the kids and really just allowing them to interact in ways, really non-academic settings where they're able to kind of forge those relationships and really continue to grow in some of those competencies as well. We're very excited about that. We also did a lot of revamping to our code of conduct to put more of those wraparound trauma supports in for our students, as well as some of the consequences, less punitive, more therapeutic in those regards, which is the direction as a district I think we're going. And I wanted to just briefly mention, as Ms. Pryor did so eloquently, about the communication piece, but also the communication within the walls. We're talking a lot about stakeholders and thinking about the community and how we're getting things out, but also with our staff, which is dynamic and amazing, just getting that information to them on a weekly basis as well, because there are a lot of different components going on, not only within the building, but outside the building with athletics and different extracurricular activities as well. So it really is communication both inside and outside as well to continue to kind of mold that climate and that culture that we're striving for. So thank you. Questions?
Yeah, I do, two questions. What's walking?
The administration as classes are going on, we just do not formal observations, but we go into the classroom and we stay in for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just to see what's going on at unannounced times, just to make sure that.
Is there a type of write-up for that?
It's not a formal write-up, but we keep that on it though. Just to like notes for ourselves, and then we it's like a Google form, that we talk and then we discuss what we're seeing.
Will teachers know what you are looking to check off prior to the walkthroughs?
Yes, we discuss that with them. We actually give them, there's a form that we give out at the beginning of the year, different look fors. Because we're talking about student engagement, so we want to maximize that. So it's just shared information about these are different things that you should be doing and making sure that you're making the connections about the activities that you're doing in the class really truly do measure what your objective is that you have.
And do you share this at the staff meetings? Do you talk, how often do you have the staff meetings?
In monthly faculty meetings, and we also do not every month, but we also do regular meetings when we want to meet with teachers in small group settings.
So how long before you start assessing where these kids are and like how often are you reassessing so that you're not waiting until June to find out if these kids could pass the national test or whatever?
Start with our benchmarks and the existing curriculum, which will benchmark B, B, and C, and I think in September. Yeah, it's 3 times a year that we do benchmarks.
but intermittently, we do a cycle analysis. Benchmark is given about September, October, we dig into the data, then we create our cycles, teachers assess, we do common assessment, and then we regroup again when the second benchmark is given in January and February. The same process starts again. So it's a similar type activity just to make sure that we're constantly looking at the data and seeing some type of growth. And the kids are targeted, like if you see kids that are not moving ahead, those kids are targeted, really give them extra support.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, last year we learned bathrooms were an issue. What are we doing about that this year?
The bathrooms, it didn't come to our attention that they were an issue, but what we do is we have.
I think it came from Dr. Severance's.
Yeah, because what happened was, the sixth grade bathroom, there was some plumbing problems that were reoccurring. So students often thought they were closed for discipline reasons or for any kind of graffiti reasons, but they weren't. So we would come in and they would be closed. Sometimes we closed a bathroom in, for example, one day, you know, it's middle school, the soap dispenser was knocked off. But we really opened the bathrooms. We wound up getting more staff to sit outside to supervise the bathrooms. This year as well, we're doing checks, the custodians will be doing checks and signing off very frequently that the bathrooms are in shape and that there's no graffiti. So
there wasn't any issues with smoking or vaping?
we did have smoking and vaping issues, but that wasn't really the reason that we were closing the bathroom. Because the detector went off and usually Dr. Rod and I did pretty good investigations, and it was very, with the cameras outside, it was very easy to see the time that students went in and out.
What was the term that was used with Dr. Severance?
Right, so when they met with your student focus groups, remember when Dr. Severance did that? What came out of it was that the quality of the bathrooms was deplorable. They didn't use that word, but that's what they were describing. And so then when she went back and looked back at some of the conversations, it had to do with, and this was early on, the vaping that was happening in there, the quality of the environment, and then the safety of the bathrooms. They felt that it was.
Yeah, and I think when we got the detectors and they were working really properly, that really hurt. We had so much less. Before we had the vape detectors, it was very hard to even keep up with it. But once we got those, we right away, I mean, we would get it right on our phone, we would fly down and see what we could do. And if not, we checked we talked to teachers, what students were let out, we would talk to students, and very often we were able to, it was, I would say, a small majority.
Right, so I mean, I think there's a couple different conversations going on as well. There's vaping an issue, but at times, yes, absolutely.
That was probably before you guys got the.
Well, the vape, I think it probably was, became, more prevalent in the sense that we were notified every time there was, detection. So were we on that a little bit more? Absolutely. As far as plumbing issues, I know there were issues throughout. I mean, one day, you know, we had, on that whole wing in that front, you know, we had to not evacuate, but clear out the classrooms because there was backup from the nurse call. So those things are gonna happen at times. We're, you know, as far as working with the custodians to make sure there were issues at times, but compartmentalizing them in that sense, yeah, absolutely. We have, you know, we kept track of the vaping issue specifically, and then obviously, you know, it's middle school. There are times where, you know, we had to try to track what was going on in the bathroom if we're, you know, doing things like that. So.
Do all students know that the bathrooms up front here, the gender neutral ones are accessible to all students?
I believe so, because if they're in there, they usually don't use them because they're not, like, if they're in the gymnasium, they have the gym bathrooms, and they usually go to the bathrooms in their wings. And they usually like to go to the bathroom that they can socialize and talk to their friends. So, when we did have our plumbing issues, those were the ones that were open. So, and we also have gender neutral in the cafeteria, and it's very funny, because we'll say you could use these, and they're like, oh, they'd rather go into, you know, the bathroom where they can talk and see people. But yes, they were aware of that.
And the gender neutral bathrooms, just for the record, they're single occupancy. They're not stalls within one bathroom.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
And just one quick plug to Miss Young, she had some of her research, her action research for her standard certification. And her principalship was on the house system, and she graciously shared it with me, and I read it and all the links, and very well done and well received at Ridgeway. So thank you for bringing that to the district and helping us with the culture. Next up, the high school. Mr. Adams, Ms. Default, Mr. Raimondo, and Mr. Lister.
Good evening to the board. High school first goal is to improve our overall communication, as already mentioned from the other schools. I think one of the different things we're going to do for parents, as you guys know, you already got some letters from me, but they're very long paragraphs. So what I'm going to do is the newsletter, it'll be bullets, something easy to read. You know, as a parent, no one wants to read a long letter, you just kind of skim through. So what I do monthly, I send out events for all my staff. So the one list of what's going on in the high school. So I think what I'm going to do this year, I'm going to start to do that for parents, and then send it out to parents monthly, so parents know what's going on. It's from testing, it's from certain activities. So I kind of list it all for all the teachers, and I'm going to do that for parents as well. And then this thrill share is excellent. We just got trained on it a couple of weeks ago, and then we can send it out through email, text. It makes it really easy for administrators. That way parents can get it the way they like it. They can get it. And also for our parents who don't speak English, they can get it in their native language. So I think that's outstanding. So that's part of what we're going to do this year to make sure that we communicate with our parents better. And also we're going to be emailing our students a lot more, so we can communicate with them as well. So Lister, I want to say a little bit about the athletics and communication, and Ms. Tebow is going to talk about the other thing.
Okay, so we'll share and just general emails, we'll be contacting our parents of our different teams to make them aware of a variety of different things throughout the year. Last week, I sent an email to every parent in the building because of the need for parents to go on the parent portal and sign off on all of the state mandated forms if their children were participating in our fall sports. So, you know, some of you may have gotten that email, if you should have gotten that email. We'll do at least a monthly reach out to our parents, but then if there are other announcements made, you can easily make those announcements. Senior night has not been chosen by every program, but as they are, we'll make those things aware, not just to the parents of those kids, but to everybody in case they want to maybe spectate at that event. So we'll make better use of our opportunities to share about. Okay.
One thing we do is our hubs, so we have like a freshman hub, sophomore hub, that's sort of thing, and it gives most updated information of what, you know, what they need or upcoming events that they're gonna be involved with specifically to grade. It does get confusing with all the information. We have to have an EP hub, which tells everything from the short term to applying for exams, registering, to the long-term exams in May. So and it's kind of like that frequently asked questions as well on there at that date. So we need to help with that. And one thing I want to go back to what Mr. Adams said, where we are going to be communicating with students directly because that is a life skill. We need them to develop that. It's important to check their email and a lot of times important training rounds. Email parents too, but just that it's a life skill so they get older need to develop.
And that brings us to our goal number 2, continue to build professional capacity to use our data points for common assessment to link it. We started last year with a building-wide initiative to address our NJSLA, our NJTPA scores. We had all the teachers in the entire building devoting do nows that were congruent with what the kids could see on the assessment. We focused on vocabulary, we focused on tools, we focused on reading of directions. One of the things we want to make sure that our students have a very good understanding of what they will see on the test, the question types, and I think the teachers did a fantastic job on that. I'll have Mr. Mundo say that.
Yeah, so this was developed in a couple ways, so one, like the strategy said, we had this building-wide now, but then also in our PLC meetings. The teachers were using data to figure out where the kids are and where they're going. We've included a living scenario where not all of our teachers are teaching core content areas, you know, I've got video teacher, English teacher. But they really are, our teachers did a fantastic job last year, really supporting the whole building initiative to make that work, and that's something we're going to continue. So right from the get-go, our electric departments are gonna kind of pick up where they left off, working on those kind of cross all content areas skills. And then about halfway through the year, we're gonna get to the beginning of the year data in the next semester. So as we start semester 2, we'll look at the data from the beginning of the year to kind of relook at our goals for our elected departments to continue to, obviously math and English have been doing that all along, but it was really great. All of our departments came together very well last year, and that's what I think.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we found was we were working very hard. But we found that our local assessments were not mirroring the NJSLA or the NJGPA in questioning, or the question types. Some of the questions on those assessments are very difficult. And so we had our teachers at least add a couple of solid questions on their local assessments, which I think would help kids when they now take it, that they've seen it before, they know how to address it and how to break down the questions. It will continue throughout the year. Any questions for this? Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so just about our district goals, and then we'll move into board goals. So these should look familiar because we've been talking about this all night, right? We've been talking about a couple of different things. The 2 areas where you saw a lot of the school curriculum was communication, was student achievement, and these are right from our strategic plan. So what we've decided to do as a district is to be able to work directly from our strategic plan and have action steps that are in there. And this is going to be the district goals and my goals for this school year. So this is right from our plan, communication to enhance our communication within the district, between the district, the community, and among all stakeholders. For safe and healthy schools, we're looking to strengthen the climate and culture of the school district by creating a safe and positive learning environment free of bullying, where students are celebrated, have a sense of belonging, and access to mental health support strategies. Student achievement, we're looking across the board to be able to increase student achievement and provide an environment that fosters student voice, engagement, and agency. So moving into the board goals section, I just wanted to review from last year. We had 3 different areas. We had our district goals and superintendent goals, and this year we're kind of merging those 2 together because I want my goals to be endorsed by the district. And as you can see, the schools adopted those goals as well. Your board goals, we had 3 of them, so it's up to you whether you want to set 3. At a minimum, I would recommend setting 2. I know that this now has some things that she's going to share, but I just wanted the board to see what your goals were last year. The first was Board of Ed members will attend and participate in Manchester Township School District events, activities, and programs. The second one, the Board of Education members will make every effort to participate in township and community-sponsored events that will help provide positive interactions with stakeholders across Manchester Township community. And the third was the Board of Education members will participate and engage in a strategic planning process to assist with the development of long-term goals and shared vision for the Manchester Township School District. I think you fared very well, if I may say so. So moving into that, this is the time for the board to kind of talk about where you want the goals. I know that Gail, you're going to talk about that in a second, but just keeping some things to guide your work. What you heard about tonight, some of the goals, what resonated with you, what some of the focus that you can bring as a Board of Education member. And then really kind of diving into, as your role as Board of Education member, how can we have that congruent vision and make sure that our strategic plan and all the things you heard tonight can remain within, the realm of possibility for us.
Can you just go back to the,
Absolutely.
so on our thing, one of our goals is, we just kind of like, guess that around pavement. We still have number 1, board members will attend and participate in Manchester Township School District events, activities, and programs.
Gail, do you want to turn your mic on? I don't know if we're hearing. Sorry.
We just kind of went over some goals. We have number 1 pretty much the same. So
Excellent.
number 1, we agree that it's important that we all be there, and each month I will send out a sign-in sheet through Google, so everybody can sign up, so they're all familiar with it, so what I'll do is like back to school nights. Like you have kids at Whiting, so you'll definitely be there, you'll be there as a board member, like greeting people, but then you'll go be there as a parent too. So we just want to make sure that we have somebody at every single, event. Another idea that we had, Gina wants to add communication too. That was her idea, so that way it ties into what you guys have. So I'm wondering if we can kind of like combine 1 and 2 and add like get the word communication into it. Sure. Somehow. Interactions and communications with stakeholders, maybe. What do you guys think?
Trying to think how you frame that, so. I guess your role as board members, of communication would come through me. Right, so I would say that, not necessarily a goal, as much as I think communication is a really great idea. Your job, as you heard tonight from Amy, was listening, right, making sure you're hearing something that you're communicating. So making sure that what you're hearing in the community, we're communicating with me, and therefore making sure that I'm, responding accordingly to any concerns that are, addressed in a timely manner.
And it should be a separate goal. I think 1 and 2 could be combined just as they are. And then number 2 would then be this communication
Maintaining communication with
the superintendent.
Ensuring effective communication, coming from the district, if we word it something like that, does that sound like something you'd want?
Yeah.
Right.
We also have, if everybody's in agreement, complete all parts of CSA Chief School Administrators evaluation process, which we did this year. We're gonna get more training on it. And also make sure that we complete our self-evaluations, which you weren't here yet, so obviously didn't, that we won't. Everybody here.
You can still evaluate yourself.
I do that.
Give yourself an A.
Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah, so we have training.
Yes, and then our other goal is, since we are a very young board, we all recognize that knowledge is power, and it's very important that we receive more training. So all board members will participate in 4+ trainings to improve overall board of education knowledge. Some ways that we can do that are go to the school boards convention. We already have 4 trainings set up, which we're going to discuss the topics that we want for trainings and 4 meetings. We can also attend the Ocean County School Board Association trainings to improve ourselves as board members.
I think that's a great idea, and if you find topics that you want aside from what we brainstorm right now, we can always have somebody come in to any Board of Education meeting like we did tonight to be able to present information to you as well.
So we get those emails from school boards. We could just reach out to Frank, correct?
Yeah.
Say, hey, register us for this.
If anything comes across, you wanna go to, just let me know.
And I try to pass along if I see any. I know I sent you one at the same night as our board meeting. But I do, as I get those emails, I try to pass along, especially if I see something that might be relevant, I can pass one along the board because she's running the board and talk about campaigning and whatnot. But as I see things, I'll also pass it along as well. So, just to reiterate, we're going to keep goal 1, but we're gonna add that ensuring good communication piece. I'll ask you, is there?
No, you're gonna combine 1 and 2
Okay,
into 1.
okay,
So you're just adding community sponsor to school sponsored event.
Just elaborate on number 1 with information and number 2.
perfect.
And then 2, communication is separate.
Separate, okay, so I'll craft some language there, and I'll share with you, and then the third is going to be training. And then the CSA evaluation, you want it within training, you want it to be 1 goal,
Yeah.
we'll combine that. All right, so what I'll do is I'm gonna give that to me, I'll play around with it, I'll send it to the board, you give me the okay, and then that's something that we'll post up on our website, along with the district goals.
I think the sooner the training on evaluating the superintendent, the sooner we get that, better, because it'll be, as the years progressing, there's things we can look at it and getting it in June, and then trying to figure out how things end.
So we had the first, we have Marianne here that, did the first phase of that. The next phase is going to be with my goals, what I will do is I'm going to share with you, so that way, and at the ahead of time. Is that as I start to build artifacts, that way you don't remember at the end of the year last year, I had said that Google Doc was sensitive. I want you to have access to that early, because as we discussed mid-year, we're gonna do a check-in, we're gonna do what, kind of see where I am with goals. Look at some of the artifacts that are there, and so that way we don't have to push at the end of the year to get it done right before June 30th.
Can we go back to district goals?
Sure.
So the communication, we heard from all the schools that they bought into that and they're 100% on it. Student achievement, they also 100% were, their goals were in alignment.
Right.
No one brought up the second one, safe and home.
Sure, so I can pull up the strategic plan, or I can quickly give you an idea of what we're doing. So when we developed this goal, we felt like safe and healthy schools sort of goes into everything that we do within our buildings. When we talk about specifically at the high school, for the past 2 years, they've been doing restorative practices. You've heard Dr. Ott talk about how they're gonna be bringing that down to the middle school. And we're always looking to incorporate any sort of restorative piece. That way, anytime there's discipline, it's not punitive. We want it to be, how can we change that behavior? How can we reshape it? So some of the things that we've done just off the bat is that we incorporated an additional guidance counselor out of the middle school. We've been able to sustain guidance counselors at each one of the elementary schools. At the high school, we also have a licensed clinical social worker that works specifically with students in their restorative piece. And then that social worker also works with our preschool population to be able to do workshops with parents and teachers to be able to tap into some of the social emotional strategies. Also, with revamping the schedule, all the principals have been committed, except for the high school, that the schedule can be a little crazy. But some time within the day to do like a morning meeting, or to have flex time or an SEL period where they can work on some of these strategies with all students. So it's something that we're sort of embedding into the fabric of the entire district. And we've incorporated some of those things into the strategic plan, but it's more of an overall climate that we're trying to endorse in each of our school buildings.
The restorative practices that we use, is there a consequence?
There is, and actually, the middle school specifically, the high school working on their handbook, I think it's done now, but they've actually ironed out exactly what the behavior is, the consequences, and then being able to say, what are some of those therapeutic supports that we can put into place. It could be counseling, sometimes, depending on the number of offenses. It could also be like family counseling, where the parents come in and kind of talk about the behavior. Because again, the goal is to not have the behavior happen again. We want to be able to intervene and reshape.
But there is consequences also with the other second part of that.
Yes.
So will it be a more black and white? So if Mike, Gina, and I all do the same thing wrong, the administrators will go by the checklist, so we're all gonna get detention. But if I come from a home of dysfunction, then you're gonna give me the extra supports to keep me from vaping again or counseling.
Yep, and that's clearly outlined in the code of conduct, which they worked on this summer, to be able to have exactly what you're describing, which is the consequence should be the same for every single student. Students should know what the expectations are. Now, that's not to say that there might be situations where, if the student's home life, it's not what it should be. We might, not to say the consequence will change, but we might put in some additional supports to be able to support that family as well. So as we kind of find that out, but in terms of, looking at, what it does and the effects of the consequence, that will be the same. And there's actually consistency across all the elementary schools. They sat together and created one code of conduct. The middle school has there, and then the high school or the student handbook is that, the life skill, they're older, we're trying to get them speed to the economy as well.
One of the things you talked about is the added consequences for the Saturdays, which I know you guys are requiring. So, consequences are an important part of it. We're looking to Saturday is something that we feel like kids really don't want to be a part of school on Saturday, but it's also a time where they're not missing classes to be a part of Saturday. So, consequences have an important role here. We can be a little bit more creative. So, let's Alex feel more. This school being in school or on Saturday school.
Saturday is definitely a consequence.
So it's certainly an important part of it. We're also going to be part of a pilot program for behavioral that's about the safety part of education. Just additional support around services, or you hope to hear more about that, and those things from a climate perspective. In addition to just all the other facilities, upgrades, management for the safety, that second goal is such a big overreaching. It includes the visitor management system, it includes the provisions for the vestibules, it includes all the upgrades on the cameras, and all those kinds of things. So it's almost, I guess we feel like it's so embedded throughout, but it's important to kind of talk through to make sure everybody understands what it entails.
I have a question. I love the idea of the Saturdays because I feel like when you inconvenience a parent, then you might see behavior change more quickly, like to maybe inconvenience them to bring my kids here on a Saturday. But what are you gonna do for the non-supportive parents, who won't provide transportation for their children?
So that's exactly what we were meeting about, over exactly what the expectations were. And, we were talking about, we have, let's say, one Saturday a month where we have detention, and let's say there is an extenuating circumstance, family's going away, or there's a funeral or something. Reasonably, we can reschedule that for next month, but if they keep pushing it off, at some point, you've gotta have a consequence, right? So if you're not gonna come to Saturday school, we brought up, do we allow for them to do, in-school suspension? And we kind of said, no, because we're rewarding that behavior of trying to, avoid, that's, avoidance. So we talked about, we have to escalate that, and that would be a time where we also have conversations with parents that this is an expectation, this is what they did, and this is what they have to do for the consequences.
Will students be able to make up at the high school level? How if they miss a certain amount of days, they have to make up at the seat time? Will they be able to fall into that category, or will they stay separate entities?
That's something else we were looking at, to be able to have it so that way they can make up that additional seat time if they need to, or also working it into the demerits. So that way if they need to work off the merits, that they can do that way, and they just have to make it a left to go to it. Or that.
Do you think one Saturday is enough? Do you think like maybe two, we're gonna allow?
Talk about that as well, but right now we're launching one Saturday for September. We're gonna see how that goes, and we're gonna plan at least one Saturday, because we want to be able to give staff members that are elected and obviously able to do this. We want them to schedule out a little bit, and if we see that there's a need for a second one, then we can work with those staff members to be able to add a second date that works.
And how many hours will it be?
So we're looking at 4 hours, but potentially having it so that way, depending on the infraction, it could be a 2-hour requirement or a 4-hour, so they can come, let's say 8 to 10, depending on it, or if they have to stay for all 4 hours, to stay something. But we're gonna work on the middle school and the high school, they're gonna be consistent, we're gonna get some parent letters out. We just wanna make sure we have all those dates, that we're communicating with both the grounds and have everything figured out before we move out.
Will the middle school be housed here, or high school,
And we're gonna keep them separate.
And just,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
so you identify a lot of these problem families that are having like internal issues. Because I know the Attorney General guidelines sends out stuff, but as a police officer, I have to notify the schools that this is going on with this family, that we were involved with the say domestic violence, and so just checkbox, like form you have to fill out, children present, stuff like that, so you should be able to kind of have that all squared away.
Not necessarily, so you're privy to a lot more information as a police officer versus, principal of school, but there are certain things that we get information about, especially if there's custody issues, things like that, or families experiencing homelessness, different things like that, we're privy to. But that's where our guidance counselors come into, because they have relationships with their students to be able to notify. We also have different elements like pre-introduced lunch that we look at, preschool, we have Head Start services, so there's various layers that we go through to see if the family needs. Laura, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just really think that it's part of our board goals for training that restorative practices needs to be in there. Because I read the books that you all read last summer when you were doing your book clubs and stuff. I don't think everyone has the same level of understanding of what the goals are, because we keep going in circles with these questions at every meeting.
So what would you recommend? Do you want to recommend maybe a book club for the board?
Or just some kind of training, because I just don't think that people fully understand. I don't think everyone fully understands the goal. I think people are just hearing that it's soft, or that I just don't think there's a full understanding. It would just be nice to have more training on the topic so that everyone understands the direction.
I added that to our list of topics that we want to be trained on.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard Gail, but she said that she added it to one of the list of topics. And then what I could do is, once you've had that training, maybe I could ask for your little to present out at a board meeting, just a little bit about what the sort of practices look like in action within the school, so that way you can actually kind of gain and see what we're doing with the school.
So maybe we'll make that one our second or our third one, just so that it gives the middle school a chance, because I don't think we'll have any behavior problems in September, or October, so we want to give them a chance to get them. Being hopeful.
Or are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Right, so I'll take that information from you, Gail, and then I'll work it, I'll send it to the board, and then you give me the green light, and then we'll go up on the website. We're gonna move into the action part for our meeting.
Tim, go to your agenda, go to part B down. Part B, contracts and waivers, number 1 through 11. I'd like to make a motion. Motion. Second.
Just to give you more information on this, so what this is, it's a required resolution. We are covered under New Jersey Schools Insurance Group for all of our district insurance except health. Every 3 years, they put our claims out to bid. New Jersey Schools Insurance Group came in with the best renewal. So all this language, all this means here is that we are agreeing to go with New Jersey Schools Insurance Group for a 3-year period. And essentially just, renewing our membership.
Any other discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Servant. Oops, sorry. Mrs. Winkler,
Yes. Yeah.
Ms. Georgiana,
Yeah.
Ms. Weinstein,
Yes.
Mr. Potts. Yes. Mr. Keller.
Yes.
Mrs. Brown.
Yes. Under C, personnel, numbers 1 through 14. Like to make a motion?
Second.
Sorry.
Sorry, who was the first? Motion.
Any discussion?
On the rate, we're rescinding and approving, what was that for?
So, that person rescinded their acceptance of it.
Okay.
Have you filled all the positions for September?
No. We're better off than we were last year. I think we're still short about 5 or 6 positions. Right now, that's right. Yeah, bus drivers.
Plus everything.
Yeah, we're short about 5 or 6 positions still. As of now, we've got everything covered. We're hoping, we'll work some more people in throughout the year, but it definitely did help. We definitely did pull in some bus drivers from some other districts. We got 3 or 4 from Jackson. So we're in a better spot than we were last year.
What about teaching staff? Are we going to start September?
Yes, we have one opening up at the middle school for a special education teacher. We've been interviewing for that. We have a few para positions, but I think we're in pretty good shape. The reason why these positions keep coming up, especially over at regional day, is that as we add additional students, that tuition students, some of them come with a paraprofessional, like they need a one-to-one paraprofessional, and that's covered by the sending district. So then as those needs arise, we have to post for a position, so it's not lack of us trying to fill the positions, it's that the needs continue to come in, which is a good thing for regional day because their program. Lisa, what are you up to? And I put you on the spot. Which is excellent compared to where we were previously.
Where are we at? So issue. Is this a spot for public comment and personnel?
Once they approve it, then we can do public. We actually didn't have that here at all, but yes, we'll add one at the end.
I thought public comment on agenda items before you vote.
Yeah, it should have been.
It's a kind of an innocuous question, but I just saw it and it's quite bad. 12 and 13. Item 12 is to approve a person for a long-term sub confidential secretary from October 1 to November 30th. And then item 13 is to approve the same person under contract for a full-time from December 1 to June 30th. I was just curious why that was 2 separate agenda items and why that person would be a long-term sub and then go into a full contract.
Sure, so tenure law actually prohibits us from having two people in one position. So the reason why this individual is being hired as a long-term substitute is because we call that ASA season, ASSA, so that's when we go through all of our accounts. Go through all of our student numbers, the various procedures that come out of, the Office of Special Education. So this individual would be working alongside the current individuals, that way they could be trained, and next year they'd be able to do that.
Told you it was an easy question, thank you. I'm sorry, so, numbers.
So we continue to have substitutes. We don't know if we're necessarily in a good place simply because it has to do with absences. As you know, that the state also expanded the sick leave law. So it allows for teachers and staff members to have additional uses to use their sick time. So we're not sure how that's going to impact our substitute coverage. But I did meet with the association, Mr. Staples and Mrs. Morgan, and we kind of talked about, being preventative and that they're going to speak to their association and just reiterate all the uses that they can use it for, and then also being able to echo the impacts to student learning that can occur. But we will come back to the table to be able to see if there are any issues on how we can sort of prevent that to allow for perhaps teachers taking, right now they can take a half day, maybe looking at quarterly. They need to be able to use the time.
This is Mrs. Wengler,
Yes.
Mrs. Georgiana.
Yes.
Ms. Weinstein,
Yes.
Mr. Paz,
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes. Before we adjourn, I just want to say good luck to everybody as you start your new school year. It's going to be awesome, and wish you all the best.
And thank you for all the work you did.
Excellent job.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn, all in favor? Opposed? Takes approval, just point out.